As we all gear up to eat way too much food this month and watch a lot of football, I thought that we could take a look at some movies that take place around this turkey-filled holiday. So join me as I rank the top 5 best Thanksgiving horror movies on this episode of Ranking Rumble. Welcome back to WWH. My name is Andrew Dreamer. Thanksgiving is the time where we are all thankful for the things and people we have in our life that make it better. So what am I thankful for? I'm thankful for all of you who have helped me grow this channel when I wasn't sure that it was even possible. So thank you for that. I'm also thankful for horror movies because they bring me a lot of comfort, as I'm sure they do for a lot of you as well. Thanksgiving isn't as widely represented in horror as some of the other holidays are, but there are definitely some horror movies that do take advantage of the turkey, the dressing, and the casseroles. Some are good, some are bad, and some are just downright ridiculous. But that doesn't mean they can't be fun. And that's what I'm really looking for in a movie. I just want to have fun with it. Sure, I enjoy movies that are well made and technically good, but there can be a lot of charm in bad movies as well. So, without further ado, it is bell time. Grab your popcorn and make your way to your seat. Let's head down to the ring to carve this turkey. Starting us off at number 5 is Black Friday from 2021. The film features a talented cast including Bruce Campbell, Devon Sawa, Ivana Baquero, and Michael Jai White. This movie is actually pretty clever, blending elements of humor with the horror. It captures the chaotic atmosphere of Black Friday shopping where a lot of people absolutely lose their mind and act like monsters. The film is set in a big box retail store on the night before Black Friday, where a group of employees prepares for the chaotic shopping spree. As they gear up for the influx of customers, an unexpected and terrifying event occurs. A mysterious parasite begins to transform shoppers into monstrous creatures. It really is the perfect allegory for this day, if I'm being honest. The employees must band together to survive the night and fend off the hordes of infected customers, all while dealing with their own personal conflicts and the sheer absurdity of the situation. Black Friday explores themes of consumerism, corporate greed, and the lengths that people will go to for a bargain. The movie uses humor to critique the madness surrounding Black Friday shopping. Look, Bruce Campbell is someone who can basically do no wrong in my mind. He just has so much charisma that works no matter what role he's playing. So I definitely enjoy that aspect. In fact, I enjoy all of the performances in this movie, but it's not really a great movie. Really, it's just a movie you can turn your brain off and watch. You don't really have to think a lot about it. Don't get me wrong, there are some good ideas here, and it definitely has something to say. I just think that there could have been some improvements overall. Next up at number 4, we have Christy, released in 2014. So this was actually a first-time watch for me, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. The film revolves around a college student named Justine who finds herself in a terrifying situation during the Thanksgiving break. With her friends away and the campus deserted, Justine decides to stay behind to study. As she remains on campus, she encounters a group of sadistic individuals who call themselves Christy. They have a twisted ideology of purging the weak by targeting those who are left vulnerable. Justine's holiday quickly turns into a nightmare as she must fight for her life against the relentless attackers. The film plays on themes of survival and isolation, as well as identity and strength. These all highlight Justine's transformation from a typical college student to a determined fighter. The film also employs the cinematography and sound design to create a pretty suspenseful and eerie atmosphere. The campus itself is very quiet during the night, and usually quiet is peaceful. But some of the scariest things can be lurking in that quiet. That's what I mean when I talk about the suspense coming from the sound design. It's really effective. Now, with all that being said, some of the movie does feel kind of familiar. I see some elements of The Strangers, and I see some elements of The Purge. That's not inherently a bad thing, but it can make the movie feel a bit unoriginal. For me, though, the film does enough to make me forget about that. It keeps me interested throughout the whole thing, and I gotta be honest, I think it's a pretty good choice if you're looking for something to watch this Thanksgiving. Coming in at number 3 is Boogeyman, released in 2005. Now, I remember seeing this movie in the theater when it came out. I was about 10 years old at the time, and At the time, I really liked it a lot, and to be honest, I still have a soft spot for this movie, but I can admit that it does have its fair share of problems, and I've got to say this. The movie feels kind of like an episode of Supernatural. It's that level of quality, if that makes sense. Not that Supernatural is bad quality, but just that TV level quality. Now, why is that? Well, Boogeyman was written by Eric Kripke, who created Supernatural, so it makes sense that there are a lot of the same vibes. The story begins with a traumatic event from Tim's childhood where he witnesses the terrifying figure of the Boogeyman in his closet, leading to the death of his father. Years later, Tim is plagued by nightmares and memories of that night. While on a Thanksgiving trip with his girlfriend Jessica, Tim has a premonition that tells him to go home. Upon returning to his childhood home, he discovers that the presence of the Boogeyman is still very much alive. The film effectively plays on that fear of the unknown. The Boogeyman itself serves as a metaphor for the hidden evils in life, suggesting that fear itself can be more powerful than the actual threat. Boogeyman serves as a modern take on a classic childhood fear. While it may not be universally acclaimed, the film's exploration of fear and trauma makes it noteworthy entry in the horror genre, at least in my opinion. The lingering question of whether the Boogeyman is real or just a product of Tim's mind kept me interested and intrigued. Look, the truth is, there's really nothing special about this movie. It's an average story that relies heavily on conventional horror tropes, but I think that the cast does a pretty good job with the material. Really, it comes down to nostalgia for me, and yes, I get that including this movie may be a bit of a stretch just due to the fact that the Thanksgiving included in this is just a trip that he's taken with his girlfriend, so I get that. Our number 2 entrant is Blood Rage from 1987. Set during the Thanksgiving holiday, the film centers around the story of two twin brothers, Todd and Terry, who were separated after a traumatic incident in their childhood. The film opens with a rather shocking scene where Terry commits a brutal murder but cleverly frames his twin brother Todd for the crime. This sets the stage for a series of gruesome events that unfold over the course of the film. The bulk of the story takes place many years after the initial crime when Todd is released from a mental institution. And when I say released, I mean he escapes. Meanwhile, Terry has been living a seemingly normal life, but he harbors deep-seated issues and a penchant for violence. As Thanksgiving approaches, the family gathers for a celebration, and the sinister nature of Terry begins to surface, leading to a bloody rampage. The film showcases a variety of characters, including the twins' mother and their friends, who become increasingly embroiled in Terry's chaotic and murderous spree. Blood Rage is characterized by its campy style, which has garnered it a cult following over the years. The film juxtaposes comedic elements with horror tropes, creating an unsettling yet entertaining atmosphere. The dialogue often features some really absurd lines that contribute to its camp appeal, like this one.
Here's to the new family.
Or this one.
That isn't cranberry sauce, Artie. That is not cranberry sauce.
Yeah, that's not cranberry sauce. The film also does not shy away from graphic violence, making it a product of its time as a 1980s slasher. And again, I'm not saying this is a great movie, but it's damn fun. That's for sure. It's got a ton of quirky charm, memorable performances, and a distinctive approach to storytelling, and that's why I enjoy it so much. For our number 1 entrant, we have Thanksgiving from 2023. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This is my favorite Eli Roth movie, not just my favorite Thanksgiving movie. It's not perfect, but it's kind of everything that I want out of a modern slasher. The idea is something that Eli Roth and Jeff Rendell have been working on since they were children, which I can sort of relate to. I wrote a slasher movie called Lake House when I was 9 or 10 years old, and ever since then I go back and rewrite it every few years. It's fun and interesting to see those ideas grow and develop over time, and I'm still holding out hope that I get the chance to make this movie someday. But let's get back to Thanksgiving. The first time we saw it, it was a mock trailer for the movie Grindhouse, which was Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. Ever since that happened, we've all been eagerly awaiting the full-length film, and it took until 2023 to get that done, but I'm thankful that we did finally. And it seems like we're going to get a full-fledged franchise out of this movie, and that really excites me. But the movie tells the story about a shopping tragedy on Thanksgiving where the following year, someone comes back for revenge. The killer is dressed up as a pilgrim and goes by the name of John Carver, and that has just got to be the most perfect name for a Thanksgiving serial killer. I don't want to really get into the plot of this movie too much because I'm going to be covering it on the next episode of Ringside Review, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. But I will say this. I think this movie will be part of my rotation for every Thanksgiving going forward. I have a lot of fun with it. It's got some really unique kills and some really good gore. The performances are great, and you can just tell that everyone involved was having the time of their life when making this movie. Like, they all genuinely seem like best friends. And that is why Thanksgiving is my favorite Thanksgiving horror movie. But there you have it. Those are 5 horror movies that are set around the Thanksgiving holiday. Do you like any of these movies, or do you have any other ones that you prefer over these? Let me know down in the comments and let's talk about it. If you're interested in Redcon One products, I have a discount code that you can use to save 20% off of your entire order, so be sure to check that out. You can also find all of my merchandise available at prowrestlingtees.com/AndrewDreamer or right under this video here. And I have been reworking the Patreon page, and I've updated some things, added some new perks. Be sure to check that out and consider joining us over there, or you can even join the channel here on YouTube. All of the links are down in the description. Don't forget to like this video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss any of the action here at WWH. Now that we've talked about some Thanksgiving horror movies, what are the best horror comedies of all time? Luckily, you can find out by watching the video that's appearing on your screen now. And remember, in the squared circle of horror, there are no countouts for nightmares. My name is Andrew Dreamer, and this is Wrestling with Horror.